Hello and welcome to Dave's Delightful Dishes. As always, I'm Dave, and it's such a delight to have you here today with me, visiting me in my kitchen. And today I've been challenged. As I often say in my videos, leave something in the comments to let me know what you want me to do next. Give me challenges. Tell me what you'd like to see. Well, Summers Pittman did exactly that and said, hey, can you make pot roast? And yes, I can. Let's check it out. So when I told my wife that I was going to be making pot roast because it was a request, she goes, oh, great, but please see if you can make it juicy. One of the problems with pot roast when you make them is the meat can dry out. Meat can dry out from all the even slow cooking from the cooking. So what I'm doing is I'm brining some beef, and I had to do that yesterday. So I took this roast and I put it in brine, and I'm going to show you the video here. Hey guys, just a quick note from future me. A little bit later in this video, I'm going to be talking about how the brining process for this meat, you don't have to or you can use. Well, after eating the meal and my wife telling me that that is the best pot roast she's ever had, I'm going to tell you, do not skip the brine. It made a massive difference. It's amazingly tender this way and flavorful. So do it and enjoy it. And then I let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. And that gets all that salt brine into the meat and gives it a chance to it'll make the meat juicier during cooking. I do it with every turkey I ever cook, and it's a great idea for pot roast. I hadn't considered it. I'm really thankful to my wife for mentioning it. This isn't a corning process, although you can, it's the same idea. I'm just not using corning spices because I think corned beef would not work well with this particular recipe. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these ingredients and we're going to put them in a slow cooker and let them go all day. So the first thing we have to do is sear this meat just to kind of, just brown it on all sides, just to lock in all that juice. And we're going to do that here on the stovetop. So we've got a nice hot pan here. And what we're going to do is just take that piece of meat. I'm going to start with that fat cap. And we're going to let that brown off on all sides. It'll probably take about 10 to 15 minutes. Just a couple minutes on each side, but there's a bunch of sides. So I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. Now, definitely make sure that you have your vent on when you're doing this because it does get smoky. But as you can see, I've now done the sides. We've got a nice little sear on there, and that is going to keep everything in place. As far as not completely, but it does definitely help in keeping the meat moister. And the brining will help as well. So now this is going to head over to our slow cooker, and we're going to start putting things in. Okay, so I have the crock pot set on low for 8 hours. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some celery that I've cut into, you can see it's by the size of my hand, about 2 to 3 inch chunks, and I'll get some of that down there, just around the base, and some carrots. Now I used to chop up and peel carrots and do all that, but the reality is baby carrots are in the store and they are easy. So I just get some baby carrots, place them around too, just a couple of them, and now my roast will go in. And I want that, I put it fat cap side down. Everyone's got their own opinion on it. That's the way that I like to do it. And now that I have this in here, I'm going to layer in my other vegetables. I've got some onion. Get that all around. Some more celery. And I particularly like the celery leaves. They bring flavor to the meal. And I have, rather than cutting up potatoes, I've got these little, they call them little trios. So a bunch of funny ones. And I actually grow these multiple colored potatoes in my garden, but all my garden potatoes are already eaten by now. So these ones are from the store. Those will go in. I'm not going to go pretty heavy on the carrots because my wife doesn't like them as much, but you can add as many as you like. And I've got mushrooms. Now, there are two ways to do this. You can put the mushrooms in right away, or you can put them in near the end. But realistically, I'm looking at this as a one-pot meal, so I'm going to do it right now. And these are sliced cremini mushrooms. People, you might see them called baby bellas. And then I have a couple of bay leaves. And we're going to start getting into the secret ingredients now. This is cranberry sauce that I made myself, but you can certainly get it at the store. Don't mind the noise. That goes in, as does a jar of Heinz Chili sauce. Now, a lot of the times I won't talk about brands, but not a sponsor, but man, am I a fan of Heinz products. So this I always go with the brand name. And now I need to get a wooden spoon. I'm going to work that stuff in. And then I got to take beef stock. And I'm going to bring beef stock up till it's the level of the vegetables. And that was the whole container, which is about 4 cups. Depending on how you load it up, it might take more, it might take less. And now, I generally do most of my seasoning at the end when I can taste it, but I know it's going to need a little extra salt even with the brining. So I'm just going to sprinkle 2 heaping pinches of salt in for right now. And I got about a teaspoon of pepper. Shake that over the top. And then lid on. And we'll see you guys in 8 hours. Okay, so it's been 4 hours. And what we're going to do now, you can see everything's cooking up really nicely. But the broth is still pretty loose. So that's where the flour that you saw earlier comes in. What I did is I took 2 teaspoons of flour, or you can use cornstarch, whichever you've got more handy. I shook it together with some water to make a slurry. And I'm going to pour this in. And I'm going to give it a good stir. And then I'm going to put the lid back on and let this go for the other 4 hours. This is still pretty stiff right now, but it's got 4 more hours of cooking. It will soften up. See you guys back when it's ready to come off. Okay, it has been 7 of the 8 hours, and we're pretty close now, but I need to go ahead and start, well, about 7.5 hours. But what we need to do now is get some of the liquid out of here, and we're going to thicken it even further to make gravy for a presentation. So we're going to go ahead and try to get as little of the junk with it, but yeah, you're not going to get it all. Some of that is going to end up in there, and that's no big deal. I'm not normally this sloppy, but I'm trying to do this while looking through a camera. So, it kind of is what it is. All right, well, that should be enough there to make a nice tureen of gravy. And we're going to take this, and we're going to head over to the cooktop. Put the lid back on that. All right, so we have this simmering. And what we want to do is reduce it by half to thicken it up. But, we also can add a little bit of a booster to help that happen a little quicker. So I have another teaspoon and a half of flour and water. Flour with enough water to get it liquid, so that we don't get you don't want to get lumps. I'm going to pour about half of that in and get this back up to a simmer, because obviously that's going to drop the temperature. So we got to get the heat back up, and I want to keep stirring it. And this will help thicken this. We just want to get this into more kind of a gravy consistency, and it's really just a matter of patience. While our beef is finishing off, we're making this gravy here. So as you'll see, it's been about 10 minutes, and it's 90% done. I mean, this is thick enough now where I would call this a light gravy, and I don't want it to be like chewable gravy. This is pot roast, so this is going to slide over, and so I want it to still be a little bit saucy. Now, if you want it to be extra thick, just keep reducing it or increase the amount of flour that you're using. But that's, you can always add more liquid if it gets too thick on you. But I'm going to let this go for another 5 minutes, and then we're going to head over to the roast, because we'll be ready to plate. All right, so let's grab our beef out of here. Right there, just so. And as you see, that looks quite nice. So I'm going to hold the beef. You can use a fork for this, like a carving fork for this too, but I like doing it this way. And that is super tender. And that's what we're looking for, fall apart. So now, I'm going to get a platter. I want to plate it cascading just like that. We get the other little bits. Not waste any of these good bits. Okay, so now let's get some vegetables and potatoes out of there. And I want to put them all around the serving platter. Little mess here is no big deal. You're using a crock pot. That is all going to get cleaned. And I'm less messy when I'm not looking at what I'm doing through a camera. Yeah, look at that. There you go. And now I'm going to take my gravy and just pour that right up over the top. And I want it thinner, as you can see, because it's going to kind of go around and get in with the vegetables too. So this is now ready for plating, or is plated and ready to go. So this could be completely left alone for the whole day, and you can come home and in a couple of minutes, like 10 minutes for the gravy, and then a couple of seconds for carving the meat, which you would do anyway, you have dinner. So I wouldn't call this a 30-minute meal by all means, but this meal with a little bit of foreplanning can have you something wonderful for you to do when you come home from a hard day's work. And man, is it delightful. Now it is a self-contained meal, or can be a self-contained meal. It has potatoes, it has vegetables, it has meat. So this could be a one pot, there's everything. Or you can add, my wife insisted on mashed potatoes tonight, so we're going to have mashed potatoes with it. And then I'm putting a salad on the side. So the choices are up to you, and they're infinite. But this is a nice way to take a nice, inexpensive cut of meat and keep it moist. The brining is important, but you can go without it if you so choose. And even on a weeknight, because you're setting it and forgetting it with the slow cooker. You've got an option for a dinner. Please let me know what else you'd like to see, and I really hope that this one fits the bill. But let me know the other things down in the comments, and if you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see next. But until then, I'll see you at the next recipe.